Welcome to the Schuby Show, where sports, movies, TV shows, technology, history, and more come to life. Now, please be seated and get ready for some more never-ending nonsense with yours truly, Schuby.
This is the Schuby Show with yours truly, Carson Schubert. And welcome to another episode, finally, of the show after a long break, as we are ready to go here on the Schuby Show with another episode, and we are excited to have Iowa's all-time leader in receptions on the podcast, Kevonte Martin-Manley, the former Hawkeye, and he's going to come on and share about his career with us and also talk a little bit about the bowl game for Iowa coming up against Mississippi State on January 1st. So hopefully most of you can hear the episode before then so you can hear his thoughts on the game and maybe some predictions at the end. And he's also going to answer some Twitter questions that were sent in as well. So I'm looking forward to interviewing Kevonte Martin-Manley, the former Hawkeye, and that's going to be coming up on the Schuby Show right after this.
And now we await the punt, and it's a straight-on punt with the breeze. Martin-Manley should be able to return this. Catches at the 18, cuts back to the middle of the field, 35-40, 45-50. Got one guy to beat, down the near sideline, one man to beat, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Iowa, touchdown Iowa! It's 17-0 Iowa. Here comes the low line drive kick fielded by you-know-who, Kevonte Martin-Manley. He's loose again. He angles toward the wide side of the field, toward the Western Michigan bench, turns it upfield. He goes to the sideline. He's going to go again. Back-to-back punt returns. Touchdown, Iowa. Touchdown, Iowa. Kevonte Martin-Manley follows up an 82-yard punt return with a 63-yard score.
And welcome back to the Schuby Show. I am joined by Iowa's all-time leader in receptions, Kevonte Martin-Manley. Kevonte, it's great to have you on the show here today.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's definitely an honor, for me to be on this platform and to give my voice and opinions.
Absolutely. And obviously you played at the University of Iowa, the best university in the state, obviously. And,
yes, sir.
And we are excited to have you on the podcast today as well. And first of all, Kevonte, we can find you on Twitter at KMM_11. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. As well as Instagram, same name.
Instagram, same name. There you go. All right, perfect. And so, Kevonte, how was your holiday, Christmas? How did that go for you?
I had a great holiday. Spent time with the family and everything. Just kicked back and relaxed and just cleared my mind and showed some appreciation. There
you go. Awesome. So, the first question I guess I have about your career, Kevonte, is what was the recruiting process like for you to get to Iowa, and maybe talk a little bit about where you went to high school and how you got to Iowa?
Yeah, for sure. My recruiting process was pretty unique. It's actually kind of still with me today, as that was what stemmed with the inspired my TwoStar Clothing brand. Which, just being an underrated two-star recruit, and I had one offer in the Big Ten, which was Iowa. I had two other offers, Toledo and Central Michigan. So those were my options, or Bowling Green and Central Michigan, I want to say. And, yeah, man, Iowa, Coach Eric Campbell, I was actually working out and training with one of his former players, Ron Bellamy, back at Michigan with Playmakers U. And he called Coach Campbell, and, long story short, I came on the visit. I really wanted the opportunity to come play in the Big Ten, to play for Iowa, play with Coach Campbell, his track record. And me growing up I was a Michigan fan growing up, in Michigan. So it was really a full circle type deal for me to be able to be a Hawkeye and play with Coach Campbell and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So how close were you to maybe going to Central Michigan or Bowling Green, as you mentioned, or did you did you know right away Iowa was where you wanted to be?
Well, I was actually committed to Bowling Green. I should have said that. I was committed to Bowling Green, and then I ended up taking a visit onto Iowa. And my initial thought was just to go to Iowa just to check it out. And I would actually said it out loud to my uncle that I was going to stay committed to Bowling Green. But, after the visit and everything, we got to talking and thinking about my opportunities. I ultimately decided to play at Iowa, which I'm definitely thankful for.
And obviously you talked about Coach Campbell. How big was Coach Kirk Ferentz in making your decision to play for Iowa?
Very big. He definitely, needed, to approve the decision and everything. They have limited scholarships. So, initially I was discovered and found, through Playmakers U, but, ultimately, he had to be the one to decide, okay, we'll go ahead and bring this kid in as a receiver this year. And it was, we only brought in, really, I was the only receiver that year to come in as far as recruiting class. But Don Shumpert came as a safety as well. And then he came in as a receiver that summer. So me and Shump were the only two receivers that year.
All right. And what would you say was your favorite memory about playing for Kirk Ferentz?
Honestly, I would say becoming an all-time leading receiver. That last game against Tennessee, it was really tough, but at the same time, I was able to accomplish something really great. And I would just say, man, after that game, it was just a great feeling, for me to leave that lasting legacy, and to, just in the locker room to be able to shake the coach's hands and, just leave that love and leave that lasting legacy, man. I really appreciated that and just the overall experience.
Yeah, I was looking up the stats of that, and it looks like you have one more reception than Darrell Johnson-Koulianos, who held the all-time record. That's got to be feeling pretty good to be on there with other names as well, like Tim Dwight, who had a pretty long career in the NFL as well. Sure that makes you feel pretty good about your career at Iowa.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's definitely gratifying. It's kind of ties into the motto of my brand, which is earn the fifth. And I feel like I definitely did that, with my football career there. And, I'm just proud and, definitely humbled to be on that list. And even to have the experience to see DJ in his senior year, and to watch Marvin, who also as a record holder. It was just a great opportunity, great experience. I'm definitely thankful.
Absolutely. And just talking a little bit more about games in Iowa City. We've heard so much about the atmosphere in Iowa City at Kinnick Stadium. Just tell me what it's like as a player. I've heard it's not great as a visiting player. Tell me what it's like to be at a home atmosphere at Kinnick.
Man, the whole thing is a fun experience, I would say. Just starting from the hotel up in Cedar Rapids, driving to the game, you're seeing fans on the road with their flag, Hawkeye flags. Getting close to the stadium, you got the tailgate, and you're seeing all that yellow in the field, and then just pulling up to the game, man. It's just, it's really like a dream come true, especially for a young kid around you're 17 to maybe 22, 23 years old. So it's just a great feeling. And the fans are really loud. They're close. It's a great experience.
Did you ever play at a louder place than Kinnick Stadium in your college career?
Yes, I would say Penn State was loud.
Okay.
And Ohio State as well. They got pretty loud. So just really just those two, I would say. Other than that, Kinnick, on average, I think Kinnick brings the noise, though, if you'd ask me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, Penn State, I think, holds over 100,000 people in their stadium. So that definitely, they should be loud.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right.
For sure.
And talking a little bit about your after Hawkeye career here a little bit. When you got done with your senior season at Iowa, I believe, did you have some tryouts with some NFL teams as well?
Yep, I had a tryout with the Cleveland Browns, and yeah, just so thankful for that opportunity to be at rookie minicamp. Um, Ultimately didn't make their roster. It was a lot of receivers in that room, about 12, I want to say like 12 plus guys, just competing for a couple spots. And, just the whole experience. I was, when I actually got the call, I was in the taxi. I was in Chicago in the taxi with Chris Kirksey when the Browns called me. So it was, it was just like kind of a divine timing type deal. And, after I figured I wasn't going to make that team, I knew in my mind, I knew that I wanted to be done with football and go ahead and work towards TwoStar, my business, and working on myself personally as well.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing because Christian Kirksey obviously was drafted by the Browns, and
right, yep,
and so
yep.
that was probably an exciting time for you to even though it was a tryout, you got to play with Kirksey a little bit longer there. That was pretty cool, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, it was just a great experience, and it's just one of those things you look back on and you're really thankful, that you were even able to do that, and to be, to leave a lasting legacy, I should say.
And obviously, Christian Kirksey's still playing for the Cleveland Browns. Kevonte, talk a little bit about some more of your teammates that are in the NFL yet today and how close you are with some of them.
Oh, yeah, man. That's another thing that was so great about my college experience is the guys I was able to play with and still, be brothers with. Guys like Carl Davis, Chris, Anthony Hitchens, CJ Fedorowicz, guys like that, George Kittle, and even a lot more, man, Tavon Smith, just all those guys we all share a respect level we all share a mindset of wanting to achieve greatness, and wanting to be our absolute best in our field. And I think that's what kind of keeps our bond together. And I just absolutely love seeing their success right now. Chris, on and off the field, Chris is up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Just things like that. You look at Anthony Hitchens. He's holding it down, one of the best teams in the league right now. So it's just and these guys were all underrated. And just had that, always believed in themselves and believed in their work and their craft, and they're just representing on a high level. And it's definitely great to still be brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned George Kittle, and George is emerging, really, Kevonte, as one of the best tight ends in the NFL. At such a young age, he's come in, and he has just lit up the league, really.
Absolutely. I think he's another story of overachievement. Of a guy at Iowa. Many people didn't expect him to have this level of success, 1,000-yard tight end, with the 49ers. It's like, we understand the capability of guys, but when you're actually able to do it, it's a whole nother level of appreciation and understanding.
Absolutely. And just talking a little bit more about your teammates, what would you say have been some of your favorite moments over the course of your career with your teammates, and maybe some of the moments where things were tougher?
Yeah, man, it's funny you say that. It's actually like the tough times are actually kind of the best in a sense. Let's say one great time that we shared was winning at Michigan State and that celebration in that locker room. Coach Greg Davis said that locker room atmosphere was even better than when they won a national championship at Texas. And so it was just, one of those moments. It was just so loud. We were so happy. And then another time when I had a specific thought in mind when you said that it was a tough time. Okay, well, I would just say, let's say, for me, even to conceive the thought of TwoStar, it was the 2012 season, and we were, struggling, and I was going through school, personal things, and kind of needed money, and then needed just feel like I wanted to use my platform a little more than what it was. So I just initially came up with the idea, okay, let me start something like a brand or a business that can propel me, into different areas. And I just immediately went over Hitch's house. I called him a day before practice. It was like, hey man, like I just been thinking, I just want to do something business wise. I asked him, I'm like, you were a 2-star recruit, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, what do you think about a brand called 2-Star, 2 stars? And this was like 2-Star sounds better. We put the initial logo on the shirt, took it to get it printed. And then, that was the initial, conception of that thought. So, it's that balance of those tough times and those times where you like, man, that was a great memory. But we definitely learned from all of them. And it was together too, which built that brotherhood.
Absolutely. And I believe, Kevonte, you were also a part of the undefeated season for Iowa. Is that right?
Oh, no. That was the year I was graduated. I was able to, I was able to watch that and enjoy that one, though. That was so much fun, watching those guys and then go to the Rose Bowl. That was great. That was epic.
Yeah. And so you actually would have been a part of the time we played in the Outback Bowl against LSU. Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, I scored a touchdown in that game.
There you go.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that game. Obviously, when you play against a team like LSU with all those talented players on that team, OBJ was on that team, and Jarvis Landry and Jeremy Hill. And Iowa, they played very tough against this LSU team. Just talk a little bit about that memory and obviously your touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. You just reminded me. A tough time, but what also was a great time was after that game against LSU. Chris Kirksey gave the team like a very passionate speech, and it was just about how well we bonded together, how proud he was of us, the confidence that we displayed all season, the mindset and the attitude of us going up to Ohio State and giving them a battle, and just the mindset of we could play with anybody in the country, and we really proved that. And he gave us a very passionate speech, and it was like one of those times where you remember, like, man, like just one of those times where it's like that'll be talked about, for a long time, with those archive type deals. So it was that whole experience was great. Just being in Outback Bowl, growing up, watching even Iowa, watching LSU play in that specific game myself, it was very inspiring for me, and to be able to score a touchdown, the festivities before the game. I had a chance to meet Odell Beckham, and to just talk to him about, his goals. And he just really, the way he talked, he just kind of knew that he was about to, do what he's doing, but it was more of a confidence. So, just all those things, man, it was all a great experience.
Absolutely. And obviously, Kevonte, one of the most memorable things about your Hawkeye career as well was returning kicks and punts, mainly punts. And Kevonte, just talk a little bit about returning punts and the difficulty that it can be, and talk about maybe one of your favorite moments as a punt returner.
Oh yeah, man, that's definitely one of the tough tasks in being a football player. But the time I did get to do it, I definitely had had some great experiences. Muffed a couple times, but had a couple touchdowns back to back, which were kind of staples in my career, staple moments in my career. Yeah. So it was just a great opportunity to get the ball in my hands and show more of what I could do.
Yeah, was that the Michigan State game that you returned both of those, or what game was that? I can't quite remember.
That was Western Michigan.
Western Michigan. Okay. And then was that the Western Michigan game that we ended up losing?
What was that?
Was that the Western Michigan game that we ended up losing?
No, we actually won that one.
Okay.
We won that one.
I think that was a couple of years before that then.
Yeah, that was. We definitely heard about that game, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But that was very, very memorable. Just to be able to return one touchdown, But to do 2 in one game, that had to have been quite a special moment for you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was, I'd say, like one of the most memorable. Like, you know how you have pictures in your minds about the certain things you do, like just that picture of me being in the end zone and spreading my arms and looking into the crowd. You know, that would the whole stadium was just going bananas. That was that was just an epic. The word I use is epic for that time. It was just epic, so loud. You know what I mean? And we were winning too, so it was just one of those great moments.
Absolutely. And Kevonte, I'm sure you probably still watch the NFL a little bit, and I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on some of the best receivers in the league, or at least some of your favorite receivers to watch in the league?
My favorite receiver. That's a great question because I never really had one that was like, this guy, you know, is my favorite. But I will say, let's say growing up, I always admired, Braylon Edwards. When I was in middle school, Braylon was big. He won a Biletnikoff, I want to say, around that time. So I watched Braylon a lot. And then, you know, let me see, Braylon, Randy Moss, obviously. Larry Fitzgerald, I gravitated towards a lot as I got older as a player, and that trickled into when I was coached by Eric Campbell. That trickled into me getting study tape from Jason Avant, and then me liking him a lot, really watching his tapes, and Mario Manningham watching his tapes as well. So I would say like a really pretty much a mixture of like all those guys I would like actually watch film on and kind of emulate. Golden Tate as well, when he had his run in college. Golden Tate was a guy that I looked at.
Yeah.
It was more of, you know, it was more of guys that I can study and take their aesthetic, you know, same body type or whatever, and kind of apply it to my game and maximize it.
Yeah, and, you know, there are just some of those players in the league that they have talents that are unmatched, like OBJ with his hands and just players like that. You're probably thinking to yourself a little bit, man, I don't know how he can do some of that, even as yourself as a receiver.
Yeah. Great point, man. Great point.
Yep, and that's why there's those guys that are making bunches of money and a lot of big plays in the league. There's a reason why there's only so many of them. It's just such a high level of competition as well, and so that's very interesting. And also, I would ask you too if you have an idea of punt returners or kick returners that you've watched over the years. Obviously, Devin Hester is the big one that comes to mind. But maybe one of those guys that you enjoy watching as a former punt returner yourself.
I would say Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn, he was when he was at Ohio State, and I think I still stand by this today. I think Ted Ginn, when he was at Ohio State, was the fastest football player with the ball in his hands in open space. That's my opinion. Second close to him, in my opinion, was Devin Hester. But I would say, I will watch Ted Ginn a lot. And also Peter Ward for his cutting ability. Me, naturally, I always had to work more on my cutting ability. I really had to put a lot of emphasis on that for some reason. And kind of like vision with ball carrying. So I would watch Peter work a lot. He was great with cutting and seeing the field a lot. So it was Ted Ginn, Devin Hester a little bit, and Peter Ward.
All right. Yeah, those are some very good names, guys that are just really fast and great at what they do.
Absolutely. For sure.
So, Kevonte, we're going to switch gears here a little bit and talk about the current Iowa Hawkeyes as they have a big bowl game. Again, it's the Outback Bowl, but this time the Hawkeyes are playing against Mississippi State. Yep. And Kevonte, how much of the Hawkeyes have you watched this season, and how much are you looking forward to this big bowl game?
I pretty much watched every game except for maybe one. Was really inspired and encouraged by a lot of their play. Guys like Amani Hooker, Nate, the defense and everything. I was just inspired by how they came together. And this bowl game, I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see how they respond. I'm excited to see how the play calling goes on the offensive side of the ball. I really watched that closely now that I'm done playing, because it was such a big deal to us. We thought that we could have had more opportunities. So I'm always looking at that and seeing how different guys are getting opportunities, and which equates to the success of the team. So, I'll just be looking for that type of stuff, and just to see how the guys respond. And, I just want to see them play hard. And I love when, seniors are able to go out on a high note, on any level.
Absolutely. And so the Hawkeyes playing against Mississippi State. Both teams have an 8-4 record. Iowa's unranked, kind of because of that late season slide there of a few games losing in a row to Purdue, and obviously the bigger loss in the season earlier in the season was against Wisconsin, and Northwestern obviously was the big one as well. But Iowa's still they've got a lot of rest since the final games, obviously, and so has Mississippi State, who is actually ranked 18th in the final poll that was the final poll that was taken. And so, interesting matchup between an SEC and Big Ten team. Kevonte, what do you think is going to be the key against Mississippi State?
I think the key would be whoever plays with the most grit, and that'll all be shown, and you'll see that in toughness. You'll see that in how guys are running to the ball, how guys are getting up after the ball, how guys are running before the plays. Just enthusiasm and grit is kind of what I'm looking for. Who's excited to play, who can you tell that's motivated, to succeed. And I think going into that, if Iowa shows, strong will in doing that, along with confidence in play calling, I think Iowa can definitely put up a fight in a big game. But if not, if the grit's not there, I think that'll be the difference in this bowl game.
Absolutely. And obviously, Kevonte, you've played in some bowl games yourself. Tell me a little bit about how it is compared to the regular season, because it's almost been a month in a lot of cases since you've played a game. Does it kind of feel like the first game all over again, or is it easy? Is it pretty easy to get ready to go in these bowl games?
Great point. It's almost like, man, great point. It's actually like it is. It's like a new game again. It's almost like let's say if Iowa was to schedule it's just like a huge first game. yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a huge first game, but you also have the experience, of a season. It's very weird. It's a very different balance. Some guys are motivated, some guys aren't. A lot of guys are thinking about, NFL. Some guys are thinking it's my last game. So bowl games, man, they're really an interesting thing to pay attention on that front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just got a question for you about Noah Fant, who could very well be going in the first round of the NFL draft, and he is decided to forego the bowl game, and he wants to work on the NFL draft a little bit and get ready for that, and don't risk further or an injury potentially in a bowl game that really, obviously Iowa would love to win it, but it's really pretty meaningless in terms of, it's not a national championship they're competing for or anything like that. So I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are on it as a player, and then I'll give my thoughts after.
I agree. I agree with in his circumstance. You got to think, it's really organizational in a sense, or it's systematic when you think of the whole scheme of things. But but it all breaks down player to player, that makes up the whole thing. And each player has so many different reasons or, things they are dealing with, or even why they're doing what they're doing. So, with a kid like Noah, me on the outside looking in, and what I know about that program, I agree with his decision. And it's because I'm sure that he's dealing with a lot of things that, just issues that people really don't know too much about. And it's just one of those tough things of the college football business. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of opinions. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of choices that have to be made. It's business. At the end of the day, it's business. So yeah. So I just agree, and I'm sure that as he weighed his options and decisions, what he chose ultimately outweighed, the opposite. So I'm glad that he did that, honestly, because I think it could be a statement, for future kids to really just stand up what they're really for and about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and the fact that you guys don't really get, I mean, you get some scholarships and things like that, but you guys really don't get anything money-wise, and there's all kinds of talk about players who were close to starving at times when they played in college, and that just is crazy to think about. But when you're talking about going to the NFL, there's life-changing money there. And to play in a bowl game that really doesn't matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't make much sense to me. And
great point.
And you got a guy like T.J. Hawkinson who is playing in the bowl game. I don't know, I can't remember if he's actually declared officially to go to the draft or not, but a guy like T.J. Hawkinson who kind of talked about his coaches and his teammates about how much they mean to him, and he's actually decided to play. I mean, I respect that as well, but at the same time, I definitely wouldn't be upset if TJ also decided to not play in the bowl game. But
right.
What are your thoughts on TJ and just maybe Noah as well, and how big of a career in the NFL he could have if he stays healthy, of course?
Man, I think both. I think it's actually a good thing for both of them to for one to go before the other, because it's going to be a great what's the right word? It's going to be a great
experience.
Yeah. It's what I'm looking like. Okay, basically Noah will be a example. Whatever the term is for the person that goes first. Is I just think with those two. I think that with Noah going first, it'll give TJ even more confidence to see him on that next level. Just like George, okay, perfect example. You think George Kittle, exactly what he's doing is huge for Noah, and his confidence, his ability to know and think that he can be on the next level and succeed. And that's going to do the same thing for TJ. I think that with Noah going to the next level, him being able to be healthy, being able to be successful, that's going to show TJ like, hey, all right, we for sure, we can and we are going to do this and continue to rise at the highest level. And yeah, just both of their skill sets, man, they're both just freaks of nature. Honestly, they both bring different elements at a very high level for the tight end position. Yeah, man, they're just great ball players, and for them to even have those national awards, two guys in one room, that's big time ball for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and
they
are just both very talented, and whenever the ball is thrown their way, a lot of times the ball is going to be caught, and they're very likely to go far after the catch as well. They both have,
exactly.
They both had a long career of getting yards after the catch, and as a tight end, that's pretty special when you're able to not only come down with big catches but also get a lot of yak.
Exactly, and I think. Okay, and it's like, so with Noah going first, it's like we kind of get three tiers, like back to back, of the Iowa tight ends, right?
Yep.
And we get to, instead of it being one and then two going in at the same time, it's like one, one, one. And I think that progression, I think each one is going to be better and better. You know what I mean? So it's like George has set the standard. I think Noah's about to do something even crazy. And then TJ is about to be like, all right, this is the bar. All right, I'm about to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, I think both of those guys have a chance to go in the first round when they are drafted, because we saw a guy like Dallas Goedert from SDSU, very small school, go in the first round, and obviously he's very athletic and talented as well. But I think Noah Fant and T.J. Hawkinson are very similar in that way, and they've obviously played at a higher level as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Great point. Great point.
So that'll be very interesting to follow where Noah Fant goes. Hopefully it's to my favorite team, the Vikings, but we'll see about that. We've got a pretty good tight
that'll
end
be
as well.
That'll be great for him to play with those guys over there.
Yeah, you got Jaleel Johnson also playing for the Vikings, and Riley Reef, so there's some Hawkeyes there that he could join as well. But
for sure.
Taking a look here at some questions that we have. I guess before we get to the questions, Kevonte, any other thoughts on the Mississippi State game before we get on to the questions?
No, I'm just excited to see it. I'm excited for the guys to, use this opportunity and show the nation what we're working with.
Absolutely. Quick question on Nate Stanley. What have you thought about his play and his progression as a quarterback, and do you think it's the right decision for him to stay another year and continue to get better?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think is the ceiling for him?
First, I just think he's a great kid, first of all. I think he's a great leader, very focused, and just the type of guy that you seem to be around. I never met him personally, but, that's just the vibration I get from interviews and, just how guys talk about him and everything. But yeah, man, Nate, I think he's just a great player. He has a lot of attributes, natural attributes that are just high ceiling, and I think he has a chance to be one of the best, top 10 quarterbacks in the league. In my opinion, as he ages, as he goes through that process. Yeah, I just really like the kid. I like his aura. I like what he brings to the table. And next year, I'm really excited for next year's team to really take that next step with him as a leader.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger. He's got a big frame, and he's a big guy. And obviously, Big Ben has been in the NFL for a long time and has had a lot of success. But in terms of the frame and the athletic ability, probably to get away, maybe not quite as athletic as Big Ben is, but he's got that ability to get away from potential sackers and defenders as well. I don't know what you think about that comparison at all, but
I was actually thinking about Big Ben when I was talking. I was actually thinking about Big Ben as him, being that type of prototype. So yeah.
Obviously, a long way to go before that point that he gets to that point, but definitely similar types of builds, and so that will be interesting to see how Nate Stanley does, especially next year in his senior season. With the Hawkeyes. So, all right, Kevonte, we will move on to a couple of Twitter questions that I've got here for you. And the first one is from Tigerhawk at skrollz28 on Twitter. And he asks you, what was your favorite game as a Hawkeye? And I think you kind of touched on this a little bit.
My favorite game as a Hawkeye was, I would say Michigan State, winning at Michigan State. And what was that, 2013? No, 2012. In 2012, winning that game at Michigan State.
And was that the Marvin McNutt game-winning touchdown, or am I thinking of?
No,
Okay.
no. We won that game in overtime. We won in overtime, and
Okay.
Greg Castillo had an interception at the end of the game.
You're okay. Was this the game that we beat Kirk Cousins? No, this was not.
No,
this was
Connor Cook, I want to say.
Connor Cook. Okay,
yeah.
That's right. Man, there's been a few times we beat Michigan State. I guess.
Yeah.
Got quite a few of those on my mind.
Yeah, great point.
But yeah, that's anytime we beat Michigan State, I'm not a big Michigan State fan at all, and I'm sure as you growing up as a Michigan fan probably weren't either.
Yeah, not much. I did try to get recruited by them, to play and everything, but they gave me a tough time and didn't want to give me the offer. So it's all good.
And the final question we have is from Matt MMH1272 on Twitter, who asks, "Who is the toughest defender you have ever faced?"
In a game, I would say Darquez Denard, and he was at Michigan State, and in practice, I would say Micah Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and both of those guys are doing well in the NFL, especially Micah Hyde, who's I believe he's with the Bills now. He was formerly with the Packers, and so very, very talented player for the Hawkeyes defense. And as you know as well, he's made a name for himself. He's gotten a lot of returns as well. You kind of know a little bit about that, as I'm sure as well. Watching him return punts and stuff, you probably took a few notes yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Michael was a baseball player too. Played outfield, so he had a knack for that. It was fairly easy for him to do it. So I definitely took heed in watching him.
Absolutely. And Kevonte, the last thing we'll talk about is your brand. You've been talking about your brand, TwoStar, and just tell us a little bit more about it and where the audience can maybe go to maybe buy something or at least find out more information.
Yeah, well, we're actually in a ground up phase, like we're pretty much starting from ground up again. But everything is still up. We have the page TwoStar Clothing, TWOSTAR Clothing. That's on Instagram. You can follow that. We also have a TwoStar page on Facebook, which can be followed. And it'll just give you a general look of the logo, the Earn the Fifth, and what we stand for. And we'll be building here from ground up with guys like the two other TwoStar guys, Anthony Hitchens, Micah Hyde, Mike Daniels, and it'll be a great marketing. It'll be a great marketing move going from here forward. And we're just honoring overachievement and just proving to ourselves and other people that we can reach all our goals with the brand. And it's about motivation and inspiration. And as well as that, I also have autographed pictures that I sell that includes all-time leading receiver, all-time receptions leader. So it's for Hawkeye fans, and they can find that on at my page on Facebook, Kevonte Martin-Manley. They can message me on Instagram or even Twitter at KMM_11 for any autographed items they would like. And it's just been a great relationship with me and Hawk fans, and as well as just other people that have been inspired by my path and my journey, and vice versa.
Absolutely, and I believe even Chad Greenway was a little bit involved with TwoStar. Is that right?
I sent Chad some TwoStar gear actually, and he posted it, and so he's definitely he's a representative of the brand, going forward. So yeah, we really have built up a really strong, solid base, and got it out, got the message out to a certain extent, but now it's time to use that platform and just take it to the next level.
Absolutely. Very, very cool stuff from Kevonte Martin-Manley, the Iowa Hawkeyes all-time leader in receptions. And Kevonte, we can follow along again, as you said, at KMM_11 on Twitter. Kevonte, it has been a pleasure to interview you and talk to you. It's been a lot of fun. and maybe we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Thanks for listening to the
that'll be
Schuby
great.
Show.
Hey,
We hope you
thank you
mildly
again as
enjoyed
well.
yourself
I
with more
appreciate you
never-ending
reaching
nonsense
out
with
and,
yours truly.
just
For more
allowing me to
nonsense,
share
go to
some
the
thoughts
website,
and some feelings, and
theshubyshow.com.
it's definitely
Get the show on
greatly
iTunes,
appreciated.
Google Play, YouTube,
Absolutely.
Stitcher, and TuneIn
Same
Radio.
from this end
Until
as well.
next time,
We'll wish
Skol.
you a happy New Year and a happy merry belated Christmas as well to you. And that is going to do it here for the Schuby Show. And we will see you in the new year, 2019. So long, everybody.